Tony, ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the special meeting and public hearing of the Hyde Park Town Board. Today is Monday, November 6th. Please join me while we pledge allegiance to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, so the first item on the agenda is to accept the minutes of October 16th and 23rd. So may I have a motion?
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so we have a public hearing on the 2018 preliminary budget, and we also have our comptroller here. So TC, would you like to come on up and walk us through it?
So what we're proposing right at this stage is the preliminary budget is basically the same as the tentative budget as filed, which is about $9.5 million for the general and highway funds combined. An increase in spending of about 2%. And the 2% increase in spending is basically driven by the union contracts and benefits. That's what drives the 2% factor. The townwide tax levy increase proposed at this point is almost 20,000, 19,616, which is negligible, which is 0.2 of a basis point, which is basically about a 1 cent increase in the tax rate, which means $1.20 on the average increase per tax homeowner, assessed at $120,000. So basically, it's a negligible tax increase proposed at this point. The spending increase is $187,000. What we have done is during the time frame, certain department heads have reviewed the tentative budget as filed as the preliminary budget. Basically, the recreation department and the highway department and the zoning departments are the three departments that have come in with some concerns. We have accumulated those concerns. I will address those by email or in public with you guys before we adopt the budget on November 20th. We're probably going to make some adjustments, more than likely to certain increases that they've requested. They've highlighted some items that they're concerned about. We're going to take a look at that. We also have better figures on the health insurance coverage costs, which we will get, November 10th. So by the end of this week, we'll get those costs. Those are the latest costs that come in, the health insurance increases. We budgeted an estimate. We will know those rate increases. So based on those rate increases and then these other requests, we're going to recommend some changes. But basically, the bottom line of the budget, we will be able to move some monies around within appropriations at that point. And if we have to adjust other revenues, because I'm concerned about a couple of revenues that might have been overstated, we might adjust the tax levy by a minor amount, okay? Right now, basically, there's no tax increase that's reflected in the tentative and the preliminary budget. It's the same.
That's great.
We do have the concerns of the three departments, as I mentioned, and we have them all tabulated. So based on what comments are made tonight, we will include them. Okay?
Good.
So, I'm sorry, so if someone's home is assessed at $240,000, the tax increase for them would be $2.40?
Correct.
Over the year.
For the whole year.
Yeah.
Total.
Wow, that's just amazing.
So it's basically a zero. I mean, it's
Yeah, I
Wow.
mean, people, you don't see that. Where I live in the town of Carmel, the tax rate increase is proposed at 3%, and it's about $40. So it's you see that maybe,
Right.
but you don't see this.
and even if we do need to make some changes, we've committed to staying within the tax cap, and we'll
Yeah.
easily be able to do that.
Yeah,
So
your
that's-
tax cap, we're nowhere near the tax cap. The tax cap allows for a levy increase of 118,000, so we're only making an increase of 19,000. So
Right.
it's
So we
tax cap it's 1.28%, and we're nowhere near the tax cap.
because we did obviously discuss some things last
Right.
time about
Yeah.
some adjustments that might need to be made, but it's important for people to realize that we would still be well within the tax cap again this year.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's great.
And, just to be clear that we have published the legal notice, so the salaries have been advertised in the paper, and once that happens, they're not, they can't be
be
changed.
adjusted, right?
Right. And so just to be clear, the supervisor is 30,000, councilperson 7,500, town clerk 47,000, receiver of taxes 31,827, town justices are 39, and superintendent of highways is 73. So they will be remaining the same, obviously, because we've made that commitment to, when we publish the public hearing. So, yeah, and I know that our fund balances are looking good. What did we put into the snow reserve at this point in time?
For next year's budget?
Yeah, yep.
We're proposing, right now, we hold what they call a reserve in the budget of 100,000 based on what could happen. It's sitting in a separate account. So if you have a rough winter, we'll take that first, and then you could also take money from the actual snow reserve fund, which is sitting in the fund balance of the highway fund.
Right.
And that's
We'll see what-
300,000.
Yeah, right now, in the reserve fund, in the actual reserve fund, in the highway fund, there's 200,000 sitting there. Okay, based on what happens in November, December, we might be able to make another increase. And then, as I mentioned in a previous meeting, I think we'll top that off at 250,000, maybe at the most 300,000, and you let that money sit there, because if you ever have a bad winter, you would use that.
Absolutely.
And, I remember when I was at the town of Cromwell, we had 2 bad storms late in the year, and I had a fund there of $1 million, and it wiped it out because we had 2
Wow.
big blizzards. If you remember the superstorm in March
Yeah.
of
Sandy?
2003, no,
Oh,
no, the bad snowstorm, I think it was 1993.
Oh.
That was a bad snowstorm in March.
Very bad.
Yeah, very bad snowstorm, and something like that, it's catastrophic. It could be roads closed, and we had to get big machines, we had to get bulldozers to clean the roads, so.
Well, we did have that experience last year, too, with the sidewalks, anyway, yeah.
And DC, that balance that's in there for that is strictly for snow, right? So
No, it's, the law reads this way, it can be appropriated for snow emergencies or for road collapses or a road is severely damaged from a winter storm.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. that's-
Remember this, the storms that you had one year and it wiped out some roads?
Yes.
Yeah.
It could be used for that purpose.
I got it.
Right.
Great.
Yeah, great. And so we were able to use some of the CHIPS money this year to do
Yeah,
the
on the
bridge?
CHIPS reimbursement, Highway Superintendent accommodated us. He did the road paving. He got all those roads paved with the exception of one that felt that he didn't want to do this year. We moved the South Drive culvert repair into that. So we expect to receive all those monies, as refunded from the CHIPS programs. There's 3 CHIPS programs, so.
That's great.
And we're expecting to hopefully, we'll find out if we're gonna get some FEMA reimbursement from, I think that's 16, storm 16.
Yeah.
So we're waiting to hear from that too,
Great, good.
okay?
Okay, well, thanks, TC, for all your hard work, you and Joanne.
Well, we're not done with it yet, and
Yeah,
then
I know
November
that.
20th, we'll
Yeah,
we'll adopt the
we
budget.
still have some, like you say, some outstanding items that we're going to address and take a look at what the department heads have requested and adjust the budget accordingly, but still stay under the cap, which we've done for 5 out of the last 6 budgets, right?
And I
Yes.
think it's important to note too, that I was remembering back that the one time that we did have to exceed the cap was because of a really terrible winter.
Right.
And that's why it's so important now that we have that reserve, that
Exactly.
if we do get a bad winter in the future, we won't have that problem. So when we came in and there was nothing in the fund balance, we were really, it all depended on the fluctuations, but now we have that cushion that allows us to keep the taxes stable. So
And
it's
that is mentioned, as you know, I guess 2 or 3 weeks ago, we sent you the final Moody's rating
Yeah.
review. And that is mentioned in the Moody's rating review that they gave the town a great report saying, you're in very strong financial condition here, and because of your reserve funds, various reserve funds, the snow and et cetera, that the town is in excellent financial condition, so.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that was very positive in the conversation with Moody's was the expectation for future downtown development because of the process that we've gone through in getting the plan together and the lining up the monies for the sewers. So I know that was a big part of our conversation, and they were really happy to be able to go to the website that Emily created and just really dig in and see exactly how we're lining up all these funds. So it was it was a very good report from Moody's, and I know a lot of it is because we work hard and we work together to monitor all the expenses, make sure our contracts really are hit the mark, and that there's not a lot of indiscretions that can come up, especially with projects. So
Right.
it's constant monitoring. So thank you, TC.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay,
TC.
great.
Thank you,
Thanks.
TC. Appreciate it.
Okay, so we're going to open the public hearing, and please, anyone who's here, come on up to the podium, state your name, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. So may I have a motion to open the public hearing for the preliminary budget?
Make a motion?
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And Madam Clerk, do you read the hearing notice?
Please take notice that the Hyde Park Town Board will conduct a public hearing on the 6th day of November, 2017, at 7:05 p.m. at the Town Hall, Town of Hyde Park, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, for the purpose of holding a public hearing on the preliminary budget of said town for the fiscal year beginning January 1st, 2018. A copy of said preliminary budget is available at the office of the Town Clerk of the Town of Hyde Park, Town Hall, 4383 Albany Post Road, Hyde Park, New York, during the hours of 8:30 a.m. to 4:00 p.m., Monday through Friday, where it may be inspected by any interested person. The proposed salaries for the calendar year 2018 are as follows: supervisor, $30,000; council people, $7,500; town clerk, $47,000; receiver of taxes, $31,827; town justices, $39,000; and the superintendent of highways, $73,000. By order of the Town Board of the Town of Hyde Park, dated October 24th, 2017, Hyde Park, New York. Donna McGrogan, Town Clerk.
Okay, so if anyone would like to come on up to the podium and make a comment on the budget, we'd be happy to hear it. Okay? No comments? Okay.
Just Jeff Ewan, 503 River Road up in Statsburg, and just want to thank the board for sound fiscal management over the last several years. It's kind of a delight to see. We've lived in towns that have not had this kind of discipline, this fiscal discipline, and still getting things done. So I think it bodes well for the future. And just thank you.
Thank you so much.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much. We appreciate that confidence. Okay, if no one else would like to speak, then may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
I make that motion.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. So we have just two very simple resolutions. TC, did you want to speak to the budget mods, or?
I sent you an email.
Yeah,
That was nice.
This time of the year, as we get close to the
Yeah.
end of the year, I start to modify revenues. You'll see that in the budget modifications. I'm modifying some revenues that don't, or they won't actually matriculate in general fund, and I modified some in the highway fund, reducing appropriated fund balances where we can, and we're moving some other expenses around, and also the police overtime lines, we're starting to reach the revised budget amount on that, so we had to move some money into the police overtime line, but that's basically it. So you'll start to see that as we get closer. They get a little more itemized now when we have to try to get closer to closing the book, so we'll see how it works out.
Can't believe we're talking about closing the books already.
Yeah,
Thought we just did that.
I know, it goes fast.
It really does.
And I was glad to see that you worked in the shared service with the county for the snow removal. I'm glad that we're participating in that again this year, where we plow the county roads, and the county pays us for those miles of road. And it's a much simpler program now, where we're just getting paid per mile rather than having to track a whole lot of stuff. So,
And we just got the contract this week,
Yeah.
too. Yeah, so,
It's an easier system.
for
Yeah.
sure, good. Okay, so, resolutions. Emily, would you like to start?
Resolution 1162 of 2017, resolution setting public hearing on special district benefit assessment rolls.
And,
We
when,
have to do 11-6
I'm sorry?
We have to do 6-1.
Yes,
I'm
we
sorry, I
missed
did
six
the
dash
wrong
one,
one.
yeah. But
I
do you,
apologize. Resolution 11-6-1 of 2017, resolution approving the budget revisions to the town of Hyde Park for the period of October 2017.
Second?
and all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so, we have to set the public
Hold on,
hearing?
we gotta do number 2 first.
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah.
We're in a rush tonight, and now I want to beat Emily's record. Sorry, Dave.
Resolution 11-6-2 of 2017, resolution setting public hearing on special district benefit assessment rolls.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye. Now we're done with the resolution.
Now we're-
But when is this, let's see, when is this, oh, so the special, the notice of the public hearing, we're setting it for November 20th to hear the, for the special rules, okay? So, did we do it? Okay, we're good? We're all good with that? Okay. So, so yeah, set for November 20th. Did-
November 20th, yep.
Okay. Alrighty, so, does anyone have any additional public comment? Doesn't look like it. Okay, thank you for coming, appreciate that. And,
Thank you.
no, further correspondence, so, may I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second?
And all in favor?
Aye.
Oh my gosh,
Okay.
that was quick.
That's crazy.